Posted by you/I piss Reddit off. I killed my grandma with a prank and nobody knows. The year was 2012 and I was 18 years old. I had moved out of my parents' house and was living 3 hours north of my family. I got a girlfriend for the first time and I told my family all about her on the phone. My grandma was a super nice Christian woman. I loved her to death and I struggle every day knowing what I did. Obviously with her Christian beliefs I should be waiting till marriage to have sex, and she told me that growing up, but I didn't really hear much about it anymore after I got to around the age of 12. So one day I got this bold idea to prank my grandma. I called her on the phone and asked her to please be patient with me and not to speak out of anger once I tell you what happened. Then I proceeded to explain to her that my girlfriend was pregnant, followed by choking sounds on her end, and I instantly knew I had messed up. I hung up the phone after calling her name for 2 minutes and called my dad, who rushed over to her house to find her laying cold on the basement floor. To this day nobody knows what we talked about on the phone, and everybody is happy for me because I was able to have a conversation with her right before she passed. They tell me to stay positive and to know that she didn't die alone. She passed from an unexpected heart attack. Kill me, God. Posted by you/you never know, do you? My aunt hit my mother, so I dragged her across the floor and punched her till she passed out. My aunt is a poisonous woman. Our whole family doesn't talk to her. She's done things in the past you wouldn't believe. So she left our lives years ago. Recently she returned out of the blue at my mom's house. My mom has 2 other sisters and a brother. My mom and aunt never got on. My mom is a lovely person, but she could sense from a young age something was off about her sister, so she kept her distance. My aunt was nasty and would hurt people's feelings intentionally for no reason. She never had a partner or kids. She isolated herself from everyone. My gran cut her off when she tried to steal thousands of dollars from her. We all genuinely think there's something physiologically wrong with her. So back to where I was going with this. One morning I was at my mom's house, just chilling out, and there was a knock at the door. So I opened it and there she was. She walked in. She looked like she had took drugs. She looked dead behind the eyes. I tried to stop her but she pushed me down. I honestly don't know why she came to my mom's house out of everyone. I quickly got up and she went into the kitchen. She startled my mom and punched her in the face. My mom didn't even have a chance to blink before she hit her. She went down like a ton of bricks. My heart felt like it had been sucked through into my stomach when I seen it. Something came over me. I don't know if it was anger or adrenaline, but I ran up behind her and grabbed her hair and I dragged her out onto the back lawn and I bashed her face about 15 times. Blood was everywhere. Thankfully no one seen me, or I might not have been writing this right now. I got up and I left her there. I went to check my mom. She was in a lot of pain. I looked back out the window and she was gone. We told our family immediately about this and they were perplexed and angry as to why she just turned up and attacked my mom. I'm still so hurt and angry as I write this. But I also feel tremendously guilty and upset that I done that to her, because I've never fought anyone and I'm not a fighter at all, but something came over me and I snapped. I can't get over it for some reason. It just seemed so unreal and there was no reason for the attack. God forbid she had a weapon. That's truly scary to think about. We didn't call the police, as I assaulted her badly and didn't want it to bounce back on me. That's another thing I feel ashamed about. But should I feel bad or not? I need others' opinions, as I've been bottling this up for a while. My gran was devastated. She just wanted her daughter back, but from a young age she took to drugs, spent time in prison and amount of other things. You can't help someone who doesn't want to be saved. Posted by you/by_cruel_world. I mercilessly bullied 5 people in high school. 3/5 of them killed themselves. I am in my 40s now, and I don't deserve the life I have. I stepped on the backs of my classmates to make myself feel better about myself. I was bullied harshly in school, and had the shit beat out of me on a daily basis until I hit puberty. Then I suddenly grew into a monster. I towered over everybody at school. I also channeled my anger into working out, and became even bigger. I was a huge ogre of a person. I hated everybody. I had so much angst built up from my own bullying. My former bullies, being the manipulative cowards that they were, I see this in retrospect, but didn't see it at the time, befriended me. And we pretty much held a reign of terror over the school. I fed on the newfound respect from my former enemies. We preyed on the weak. There were about 5 nerds that I personally tormented harshly. I joined Facebook a couple months ago to see what became of them. I had hopes that they were able to live happy lives despite my awful treatment of them. One I knew died suspiciously in high school, but it turns out it was a suicide that was covered up. 2 more killed themselves right after high school graduation. The 4th lives alone in a trailer and appears to be crazy. The 5th person actually turned their life around and married the head cheerleader several years after graduation. So at least there's that. I wish I could apologize to the remaining 2, but it would be so trite and meaningless. Plus, it would probably re-traumatize them, having to see me again, or having to think about those events again. I suck, I'm sorry, and sometimes I feel like I should off myself too. You know, to balance the scales of life. I have been tormented my entire adult life for being the bully that I was, when I really should have been an advocate for the bullied instead. I mean, I already knew how it felt. Instead of sticking up for people and beating the bullies' asses, I, like a bitch, joined them. I can never forgive myself for that. Posted by you/Likagone. I prayed once for my daughter to die, and it came true. So when I was 20, I started dating this girl. We dated for 3 years, and although she loved me like crazy, I never really loved her at all. The reasons for that are a different story. About 2.5 years into the relationship, we found out she was pregnant. I didn't use a condom once and that's it. After about 6 to 7 months, we found out that she has a damaged reproductive system, and she had to stay in the hospital. I would bring her food and stuff every day after work and basically live in that hospital for 2 weeks. She wasn't allowed to get up or anything. I was by her side through the whole thing. One day out of nowhere, her water broke. She was about to deliver the baby when we talked to some of the hospital staff. They explained that since she was being delivered at that point, she hasn't developed lungs yet, and if we decided to let the hospital staff resuscitate her, she could have permanent brain damage. We decided that if she is born and she is not breathing, we would not resuscitate her. Here's the fucked up part. This entire time from the point I found out she was pregnant, I was hoping that something bad would happen so that I wouldn't be stuck in this relationship and life forever. I started praying that if there was a God, He would get me out of this situation. When the baby was born, I watched her turn blue, then purple, then black right in front of me. I watched in horror as she struggled to breathe without lungs. It was and still is the most horrifying thing I have ever seen. I've lived with this secret my entire life. I've never told a single person. It has given me depression to the point where I've tried to commit suicide, incredible anxiety and nightmares that I've had ever since. I've been through mental hospitals and therapists as well. I wouldn't wish anything like this on anyone. Thank you for listening and helping me get this off my chest.